It's here, guys. It's ready. If you follow me on Instagram or Facebook, you'll know what this is. For those of you who don't know, this is my new frame, new race frame. The SethPV neXus 5-inch, brought to you by Tiny's LEDs. So yeah, extremely excited to bring this to you guys. It's finally here after months of getting everything ready. This is the packaged production version. So let's get right into it. First take out arms and all the parts. So over here you can see we have our hardware. We have our 25mm standoffs and then our 35mm standoffs. We have our longer 12.9 steel screws and then our shorter 10mm ones here. And then we have our bottom and top plate screws. These are 7075 aluminum. Just a real quick note on these. These are actually sort of a larger cap head style. Just a quick note, for the frames that will be shipping, these will be replaced with a smaller head screw, similar to something like this, just like this steel screw, but it's still 7075 aluminum, so they're essentially almost identical. They'll just look a little bit better than this since these were a little bit big. For the carbon pieces, first up we have the arms, and yes, let's just right away acknowledge the cross-hatching down the arms. Normally that is a big issue, however this is quasi-isotropic laminate carbon, which means instead of the carbon layers being 0 to 90 degree layers like this, so that way if they're cross-hatched like this, there's no fibers going down the arms. You can see there's never, you want ones going down the arms. However, quasi carbon has a 45 degree ply, so there's layers like this all the way around, so it covers pretty much every angle. So even though the top layer is cross-hatched, as you can see there is, once you rotate it at 45 degrees, there is fibers running down the arms, so they are still stiff enough. You can see, of course, they are the double boomerang style, and on the end we have the 3 motor mount design. By removing this motor hole, you reduce the stress on the end of this arm to help prevent breaking here, as well as it's hard to see it because it is a pretty small chamfer, but there is a nice smooth chamfer all the way around. Nothing sharp, all smooth. Very good there. So moving on, here we have the bottom plate. Nothing too special here. Here is the top plate. You can see pretty robust design overall, lots of carbon, should be pretty durable, and you can see this press nut is here. That's actually the bottom, and that is meant to have a GoPro or anything else you want to mount on there, so it's really nice you don't have to use zip ties. I'll get more into that later. And then lastly, we have the mid plate, which is going to sandwich everything together, and this does have the 3 steel press nuts in it, already press fit down into it there. And I'll talk more about this special cutout in the middle once it's put together. So let's actually assemble this guy. All that you're going to need is a 2mm hex driver, and I'm going to use a little bit of Loctite. I just like to use that on frames and motors, since vibrations over time can loosen things, and you don't want that. So starting off, we're going to be using the arms and the 2 plates, and I'm going to start with the longest 12.9 screws, the steel screws first. Shake up the blue Loctite and put a little bit on. Now these longer screws go in the very back of the bottom plate, the very back hole. So you put that through, then you get the arm, and then the mid plate goes on top there. Now these back screws will be shared with the aluminum standoffs, which is why they are much longer than the front, since they don't share and they go directly into the standoff. You use smaller screws up front. Okay, there we go. And then for the middle screw, you can see it actually doesn't pass through the bottom plate. You can see that is pulled back there, so you're actually going to use this little bit shorter steel screw here. Now keep in mind, of the screws we have left, we do want the shorter of the 2. That's going to go here. That way it actually sits flush when it comes out of this press nut. Right there you can see it comes up very nice. I'm going to go ahead and tighten all 3 of these down. It's going to make super tight press on that arm there between the 2 plates. And then for the front end, the arm needs to go inserted before the standoff, so you can see it kind of slides right in there. You're going to do the same, once again using the slightly shorter screw to go into the middle. Since it doesn't have to pass through the bottom plate, it can go directly up there, and then you use the 2 remaining steel screws for the sides. And once you have everything in, go ahead and tighten them all down. Everything's steel, so you can go pretty tight on these. Have not stripped one yet. So there we go. I'm trying to, these arms do not budge. It's one of the things I really like about this design with the double sandwiching plates, as well as the 3 screws, is just these arms do not budge side to side. They are locked. So all that's left is the standoffs and the top plate. The shorter 25mm go in the rear. And I also do like to add a little bit of Loctite on here because those do come loose sometimes. You can take the remaining aluminum screws and they just go up front here underneath into these longer 35mm standoffs. Just like that. There we go. And that leaves us to be able to put the top plate on. Alright, and there we go. Everything is all assembled, all tightened down. That is the frame there. Real quick, I just want to mention it, since if you get this kit, you'll probably notice it. There actually is a difference in the standoff's height. You can see it's about a 1.5mm larger in the front, and that was just due to the supplier and the standoffs we got. And it just being a little weird, since obviously you have the varying heights that they're connected to, but that is not a problem at all. It's a very small difference, and the frame holds up just fine with it. So if you do notice it is slightly different height front to back, that is perfectly fine. So yeah, there it is, all assembled, just real quick, very easy. You can see what that bottom plate looks like from the bottom now. Very nice, sleek design. So now let's weigh this. So here we go, everything built up without the camera or Vtx mounts. We get about 67 grams there, 67.34. So not the lightest, but definitely not the heaviest. Very respectable weight, I think, for the length of these arms. I'll get into that in a little bit, as well as it being a double plate sandwich design. So before we go any further, let me just kind of address where we're coming from with this. If you follow my channel for a while now, you'll probably know this. This is the Mode 2 Ghost. This was my first frame that I helped them develop. So you can see the design is a bit different. We keep with the same boomerang arms here, however they have 4 motor screws as well as a singular 3mm bottom plate. There's no sandwich. And then up top, very skinny design. This is the V1 top plate. The V2 removed some chevrons, made it a little bit stronger. It's a pretty similar design. And just overall, it's almost like an H. Pretty long and sleek overall with this build. I have the Synergy in there. And this was my main quad for a long time. So let me just explain some of the issues that I had with this, which is the reason that this was born here. So one of the biggest, probably definitely the biggest problem I had was just because it is a singular middle plate and it is pretty long, you actually can get a decent bit of flexing through the middle. It's kind of hard to show it on camera here. But as I flex it, the arms aren't flexing, it's the center plate. And I'm not sure, I was burning out a lot of ESCs, and I'm not sure if it was because they are becoming cracked from it flexing or what. And I was also having some issues with noise, especially once I moved to 6S builds. And I really think, everything is soft mounted, everything is as I had always done it, and I really think it's attributed to that center plate being able to flex a little bit since it is a decently long body. So with the Nexus, obviously, with the double plate design as well as where they connect, it's about 30mm shorter than the Ghost, so a much smaller center section, as well as 2 plates. This thing is very stiff in the center. The arms do bend a little bit because of the quasi-carbon. Not all the fibers go down the arms, so the arms can bend slightly, but in terms of the center, it is very, very stiff. So just real quick to address that this is from Mode 2 and this is from Tiny's LEDs. There wasn't any falling out. There's no hard feelings against Mode 2. Just decided to work with Tiny's LEDs for the new frame. So to real quick come back to the center hole here, this cutout is actually, hopefully you can tell, is in the size and shape of a capacitor. So the whole idea is to have your 4-in-1 ESC here and then put the capacitor down below, and it will have some room above and below the plate to be able to reside, and then your battery strap should still fit underneath it, and then the bottom plate is chamfered, and you can run 2 straps here to hold the battery really secure with the battery pad. So if you look at the quad I've already built, if I move the strap out of the way, you can see the capacitor kind of hiding in there. This is just a 35 volt, I believe it's a 670 microfarad capacitor. It's the one that comes with the Pyrodrone ESC, so you can see that works perfect, exactly as intended, and that hides your cap. Keeps it nice and clean and away. I've never run caps before because I never had room. Now I do. So continuing on with what you get, obviously this is all included in the package, and if you get the base version of the kit, you do also get obviously the 3D printed mounts. This is a pretty standard sort of design for the SMA mount. Just slides onto the back standoffs and you can screw your SMA antenna into it, or the connector where you screw the antenna onto. And then here are just some simple camera mounts that also slide over the standoffs and will fit any micro camera up there. And the standoffs are wide enough to fit mini cameras. It is going to be a stretch because the stack is pretty close there. You might have to make something custom So minis do fit, but I wouldn't recommend it. I'd pretty much say you're only going to be wanting using micros on this, especially if you're racing. You're probably already only using micros. So these are just the standard mounts that come with the frame if you get the basic kit. And we are also going to be offering a premium version. And the premium version includes this stuff. So just starting off, we have this mount in the back, which is a little bit more sophisticated than this one for the SMA mounting. It puts you at a little bit of an angle, lets you screw directly in. It has countersunk there. Just keep in mind this red TPU, this is all my print. The ones that come with it will probably be a little bit cleaner. My printer's not the best, as well as they won't be red. This is just what I had on hand. This mount also slides down over the standoffs, and then these tubes here are to be able to, or these holes here are to be able to slide forever tubes into, so that it just kind of sits like this underneath the top plate, of course, and then the tubes come out like the center, like right here, and you can have your antennas there, your diversity antennas for like a free sky receiver or a Spectrum or something like that. And then in the back there is this hole for the flip stick, which is also included, which is right here. You can see these are just little plastic sticks that instead of putting a turtle fin on the top of your quad, you can use one of these instead. It's lighter and it's a lot cleaner looking, and this just slides into that, hole in the back there and mounts right off the back. Here is one of the Nexus that I already have built up. Hopefully you can tell this thing just looks absolutely amazing. Super clean build, really in love with it. Here's just to give you an idea of what the Vtx mount looks like. You can see I have a little stubby antenna on there, plenty of prop clearance. You can use regular antennas, but I would highly recommend using a stubby. I definitely wouldn't use a long one. Medium to stubby are perfectly fine here. And then here's the flip stick to be able to hold it up off the ground to be able to turtle mode. And now this much flip stick is included, which is more than enough. I actually trimmed mine almost in half to this length. You can see it definitely is a bit longer, so you can choose however high you want this. The press nut in the middle gives you the option, once we have it available, for the GoPro mount to screw right in. No zip ties, very nice and clean. As well as we will have a pod coming hopefully soon. And then here we have the custom camera mount, the fixed angle mount. And a huge shout out to Liam Waffle FPV for this design on this. Very nice locking camera mount that your camera is fixed to. This fits the Runcam Racer, Predator, pretty much any micro camera with a normal M8 size lens will fit in this. And in terms of the fixed mount, hopefully you can see I have it installed here. This thing is not going to go anywhere, and that was a problem I had with my old quads, especially at the MultiGP International Open team race. Going from quad to quad, there was a lot of inconsistency with a standard mount like this. So moving forward with the premium ones, getting a fixed camera mount I think is very important and a very nice touch. So at checkout, if you want the premium kit, you get to pick what angle you have, from 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, all the way up to 60 degrees. So it should fit just about everybody, as well as these are available on Thingiverse, the files, if you wish to print your own. If not, you can select it from the store and it will come with your order. So lastly, very nice touch to the premium kit is actually this battery pad. This is a little M3 sticky battery pad. You can see I have one on the bottom of this quad. It's laser cut to fit exactly the bottom plate. You can see it just fits right over there. Very nice touch. Very sticky rubbery material. Not too sticky that it rips it off the frame. That was some problems with other ones I had tested, but definitely enough to be able to get a good grip on the battery, and if it does get dirty, you can wipe it down with some water and it should get more sticky. So these items are everything that's an extra in the premium kit. And then one last thing that is not included but is optional if you want is these little cross braces that can go across underneath your motors if you want to have a little bit more durability. These are optional. I don't really run these, but I know some people do, so they're there if you want them. By the way, these weigh 4.9 grams each. So you're going to be adding 10 grams if you want to run both of those. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Everything with the brand new SethPV neXus. Very excited to release this. Really been having a lot of time flying this around that I have so far, and really excited to getting this out to you guys. Just pulled out the camera here to once again show you my completed build. And now this one, just a disclaimer, this actually does use lower standoffs. This uses the 28 millimeter in the front and 20 in the back, so it is a tighter build. Just showing you what is possible. Obviously you can get a little bit lower still, but we just went with the larger build height on the stock one, since a lot of people's stacks are taller than this. This is the synergy with the Form 1 ESC, so Very, very nice clean stack. Really love this build. Overall weighs about 305 grams, and this will be my setup going forward for 2019. So really excited to be sticking behind this setup in this frame. So yeah, that's pretty much going to do it. This video was a little bit longer than I expected, but I had a lot to go over. Really excited with this guy. Once again, I got to stop talking about it, but I just can't, because, I mean, look at this build. Absolutely gorgeous. Have the tiny LEDs, race lights on the back there as well, the solder bridge selectable ones. So yeah, that's going to bring us to the end of the video. There will be a link down in the description below to the website for the frame, for the basic or the premium kit, if you are interested. And just a quick note, I discussed it when I first released the Ghost frame. I never actually did make any money from this frame. I just wanted to give you guys as cheap as possible. And I know a lot of people message me saying that, thank you for the videos, and they bought the frame to support me, but I never actually made money from it, so thank you anyways. But just to point out, I do make a small commission from each of these frames that are sold. So, and I don't, besides affiliate links, I don't do anything. I don't do Patreon. I don't really do donations. So the best way to support me will be, of course, continue watching the videos. Always appreciative of that. And if you want to go one step farther and you want a really kick-ass racing frame, in my mind, you can go ahead and order this guy, and that'll help me out. So thank you guys for watching, sticking around for all this time. Once again, link in the description. Please subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.